Hey guys, and welcome back to Big Sis. I'm Big Sis
And I'm Big Sis Val.
and welcome back to the place that is safe. So today's topic is very juicy. I know all of our topics are juicy. We just like that word, juicy.
Right. This one's a juicier one than last time.
Yes. So today we're going to be speaking on living consciously, being able to act consciously. I know this is probably something not a lot of people talk about, and I think it's so interesting that, well, it doesn't really surprise me, I guess, that no one talks about it, because a lot of people live robotically. They just lived on a day-to-day basis and forget to think for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. What can you start with this topic?
100%, Angie. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when people are in this time are living very automatic, very robotically, and kind of in the unconscious state of mind, right?
Yeah.
Where, it's kind of almost muscle memory. You drive to work
Right.
the same exact way, you brush your teeth with the same hand, you already know the drill. You do these things, unconsciously, right? Because your body's already used to them. So
Yeah.
how can we start living consciously? Why don't you kind of tap into that? I like how you're going with there.
So I do think I agree. So one of the things is maybe changing up your routines. I think this is like a really good start because we're creatures of habit, as we're told, right? We like to
Yes.
do things in a certain routine, what we're used to. The first thing you wake up is you just go to the restroom, brush your teeth. It's like the first thing you do. I mean, at least that's what I do. And I don't think about it. It's just instinct.
Exactly.
But with certain things, especially when it comes to your career, your relationships, whatever might be very important to you, you need to switch it up. It can't be the same thing every single time because number one, you'll get bored. Number two, it's just going to be, you're going to be living unconsciously, which to me, it's just insane living that way because you can't even make decisions for yourself. You're going to let society, you're going to let the government, whoever, your influencers influence you. And what if you don't want to do those things? Are you okay with living miserably or living by someone else's standards and not your own?
Yeah, exactly. Someone else's life, someone else's ways. So you can end up in this whole other place where you didn't even expect you would end up, and you're like, "Well, how did I end up here?" And you could have avoided that, like you said, if you were conscious about the decisions you were making.
100%. So I guess where we can really start, I mean, to kind of add, before I transition the conversation a bit, kind of going back to the relationship part, this is also where a lot of relationships take a toll, I believe. You become so used to each other and the habits that person has created with you that you almost forget to make things exciting, make things like interesting. And that's when things get dull in relationships. And I think it's important and healthy to keep it interesting at all times and make the effort, even if it feels like it's exerting a little bit more energy, is going to be healthy for the long run. And that's what I think personally, just in general. You need to be able to want to exert a little energy on important things to help
Yes.
make those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you have to keep spicing things up or changing things or putting more energy than what you're used to or what you previously did, just because, you really want to keep the flame going,
Yeah.
consciously, not unconsciously. You don't want to just move through the motions and just, not really have a predictable outcome. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I agree
Yeah,
with that. What can
100%.
you recommend as far as, or where can people start by, changing their routine or their habits? Like what would you say to those people?
I would say, I mean, whether you're comfortable with your old routine or not, do changes just for the better of yourself, because any change is going to be beneficial for you, whether you like it or not, whether it's comfortable or not. So let's say, for example, something as simple as switching toothbrushes. It might feel uncomfortable and weird, but try it for a week and see if it kind of, I don't know, something so small, might change something bigger in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Take a different way to work, order a different drink from Starbucks this time, or I don't know, you know, do conscious choices to try new opportunities and open up new avenues, you know, to different outcomes. You know, you never know if you know, this door is going to lead you to a crazy opportunity just because you were consciously thinking about, you know, the strategy that you were going to put in, whether it's working on an assignment. Hey, I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to put, I don't know, more of my own personal story into it consciously. I don't know. And then, I don't know, it's just endless opportunities with this. As long as you implement it, action is the most effective thing.
I love that. And I think it also can create a momentum in your life. So maybe taking the easier steps, like you said, switching those toothbrushes out, then maybe making a tougher decision and be like, okay, now I want to take it to the next level and switch up some routines in my career life. Like maybe I should try making that phone call I'm afraid to make. And instead of waiting back on the phone, like hoping someone calls me, making those changes could definitely open up a ton of opportunities. And I'm with you 100%. We all have to do them at one point, or it's going to be a hard life. Let's just say that.
Yeah, honestly. And honestly, I'm guilty of it, of, you know, letting my unconscious thoughts and take over. Exactly. Control. Right. And it's very, very, very easy to just relax, put your feet back and let it go, you know, let it go with how you know it's going to pan out, the comfortable way. It's so easy to do that by default, you know. So I really think that, you know, you have to have enough willpower to execute it, but you really have to want, you know,
willpower. That is so true. And it made me think right now, what you just said was kind of key in all this as well. And the reason why I were suggesting that you live a conscious life and consciously going through life, your career, relationship, I think the important reason why is to be able to have intentions behind what you're doing. If you're if you're making a bunch of phone calls for your business, like Val and I do, you know, we have to make phone calls in our day-to-day basis. And I don't have any intentions behind that. And all I'm doing is just like on the phone, repeating the same thing over and over again. And sometimes I catch myself doing that because of just boredom. But if there's no intention behind that, I'm not going to get squealy squat. I'm just not. No, it's going to be a harder conversation to have, and there's going to be no effort, and then there's not going to be any business. You know, let's bring it back to another example. If you don't make any effort in your relationship, where do you think that's going to go? Whether it be your friend, whether it be your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to get results. You're just going to be stuck in this weird, boring pattern that you and the significant other have created.
Exactly. And sooner or later, you know, there's going to come a time where you're going to realize it and break that pattern and finally accept change, you know, which in no matter what is the best outcome, whether it's a good or bad outcome, because either way you learn from it, you grow from it. So 100%, I would just, you know, 100% just dive in that water, because, you know, the opportunities, like I said, are endless. Just
and with intention. Intentions, I think, is the big thing. If you're doing anything without intention or without focus and clarity in what you're looking for, then, I mean, there's really no point of you doing anything at all. You might as well go and, I don't know, if you're a real estate agent, you might as well go and find a freaking job that doesn't require much thinking, right? I mean, and, you know, not to like shade on them or shade on the people, but some people want to live that life and others don't. But if you don't want to do that, you need to have some intentions behind what you're doing, for sure.
Exactly. You know, I can touch on an example. When I was going to college, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do something in business. So I started taking a bunch of business classes at a few community colleges because I didn't like the first one. So I tried another one, and I was sitting in class just kind of, you know, my mind's wandering and I don't really have a direction. So the point is my intentions weren't there at all. You know, my intentions, I was like, what do I want to be? Where do I want to go in life? So being in college and, sticking through that. I didn't finish college. I just took a few classes, but that, I wasn't intentionally there to, I learned
For a
a
purpose
few
kind
good
of thing.
things.
Yeah.
I got a few A's on my English and my math class, which obviously did benefit me. But,
Of course.
I really wanted to find out, where I led to. So, real estate,
Right.
happened in my path, and now I'm here. So, just gotta go for it.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's not, yeah, I mean, this is just pretty much I mean, do you have any final thoughts on this? I think the intentions was a really big thing. And aside from that, I think it kind of like is this living consciously kind of is the key to like all the subjects that we've been speaking about, relationships,
All
career
the
building,
Yep.
that
Yeah.
next step in
All
your
the points.
life. Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
ties into everything. If you have intentions behind all these things, you definitely will see outcomes that you want to pursue,
Exactly. And so really quick, what are some of the things that because everybody works
hmm
differently. It's
Right.
one thing to just tell somebody to live consciously and you have a good life, but
Right.
what are some of the things that can happen if you don't start living consciously, if you keep continuing the path of living unconsciously and maybe letting other people's opinions still
hmm
hold you back from what you really want to do in life, or your career, your goals, your
Yeah.
business. You might
Yeah.
just, first of all, end up staying in the same spot as you are today, or maybe you might
hmm
even backtrack,
Yeah.
if you're not living consciously or intentionally. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So you got to
100%.
think about the pain button, I guess, in this sense,
Yeah.
if you want things
Yeah,
to
of
change.
course. And I think one consequence aside from what you just mentioned is just honestly living a mediocre life. Like what are you gonna do? Like, are you just gonna go to work, come back home, watch Netflix, go to sleep every single day?
Yeah.
Like, what's the
Yeah.
joy in that? Like, where's the joy in your life? I think you're going to be miserable. I think you're going to be having a hard time mentally, physically, and it's just
Yeah.
not going to be a fun road ahead. That's just
I
what
like that.
personally I think that's going to be happening.
I
Straight
like
up.
that. So what you're saying is instant gratification is kind of the lead cause of,
Yeah.
living on an unconscious path, because, you're comfortable, it feels great now. The Netflix, you're like, oh, I had a long day of, 9 hours at work, and now I get to go home and relax and repeat, but you're not thinking about the long term.
Yeah. What do you look forward to? That's not a life to look forward to personally. And I'm sure you can agree to that 100%. So I definitely
Absolutely.
think, I mean, well, what is one type of way maybe you can help someone get started of living consciously? Like what's something maybe they can do starting today to start
Mhm.
living consciously?
Write things down.
Ooh,
I would write things down so that way
I love
you
that.
see it and it's out in the world, and you can start working on the steps needed to, get there.
I love that. And you know what? That reminds me when Brian, one of our mentors, mentioned that write things down every 10 minutes and see what you're doing. Start paying closer attention to what you're doing every single day, every 10 minutes. And then you're going to be like, oh shit, I wasted like 8 hours of my life today. Like, what in the world am I doing? I mean, I still need to commit to doing that because I'm sure there's areas where I'm like, Angie, you're supposed to be working, or Angie, you're supposed to be working out. What's going on here?
You're like staring at a butterfly outside or something, like, oh, gotta take
Yeah.
that off my list. You're like, all right, gotta reduce
Yeah.
that time.
Yes.
That's
I
funny.
think maybe something else aside from that is maybe creating a to-do list. Like maybe if you don't want to take the 10 minutes every 10 minutes, write it down what you're doing. Another thing you could do is create a to-do list, create things to actually accomplish throughout the day. And whether they be little goals just to start off, and then maybe you can start off doing some goal setting, like what we've talked about in our previous podcast. Start there,
Yes.
start
Yes.
somewhere, it's key. You got to start somewhere and sometime.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's pretty much enough said. We kind of hit all the
Yeah.
points, the good and the bad. But look out for us next podcast. It's going to be even juicier than this one.
Oh, I like that. I don't even know which
Not
one
that
it
we're in
is.
competition. Not that we're in competition. Everything's juicy, but you know, the juiciest topics with us.
Yes, always with Big Sis. Well, thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Bye.
Bye.